What if I told you that one of the world's oldest and most elaborate hiding places wasn't built, but carved, by hand, hundreds of feet into the earth? Picture a landscape that looks like it's from another planet. Giant, cone-shaped rock formations rise from the ground. Soft, volcanic stone shaped by wind and water over millions of years. But the real secret of Cappadocia isn't what's above the ground, it's what lies beneath it. Because hidden below those strange and beautiful towers are entire cities, dug so deep and so cleverly that they sheltered people not for days, but for months at a time. And they've been here, silently waiting for thousands of years. So how did these cities come to be? And why would anyone choose to live in the dark, deep underground? Let's go back, way back, to a time when survival meant going unseen. Cappadocia's story begins with a volcano. Millions of years ago, eruptions covered this region in a thick layer of soft ash, which hardened into a stone called tuff. Over time, wind and rain carved the tuff into the famous, fairy chimneys we see today. But early settlers realized something remarkable. This soft stone was easy to dig. You could carve homes, churches, even whole cities right into the rock. And so they did. By around 1800 BC, the Hittites were carving the first underground rooms. But it was later, when invaders began sweeping across Anatolia, that the real engineering began. People needed to disappear. And so they dug deeper. And deeper, what they created wasn't just a few hidden rooms. It was a multi-level world, complete with everything needed to survive a long siege. Take Kuyu, one of the largest underground cities ever discovered. It plunges 18 stories deep. That's as deep as an 18-floor building is tall. And it wasn't alone. Dozens of such cities lay hidden beneath Cappadocia, connected by miles of tunnels. Some could hold up to 20,000 people, plus their livestock, their food, and everything they needed to live for months without ever seeing the sun. But how did they live down there? And how did they remain hidden for so long? Let's step inside one of these cities and see how they worked. First, getting in. Entrances were camouflaged. A well, a rock, a small cave, all could hide a doorway that led into a labyrinth below. Once inside, you'd find narrow, low-ceilinged corridors, easy to defend, hard to attack. At certain points, massive round stone doors, weighing up to half a ton, could be rolled across passages to seal off entire sections. These weren't just doors, they were barriers, and only opened from one side. Then came the ventilation. How do you breathe hundreds of feet underground? The builders carved narrow air shafts, some over 100 feet deep, that reached all the way to the surface, disguised as natural wells. Fresh air flowed in while smoke and stale air drifted out. It was a natural, silent ventilation system, no engines, no electricity, just brilliant design. Next, water. Deep wells tapped into underground water sources, so even during a long siege, people had fresh water. Some cities even had winches to lower buckets and bring water up to different levels. And then, life underground. It wasn't just tunnels and rooms. There were stables for animals, cellars for wine and oil, kitchens with carved-out hearths and chimneys that vented smoke upward. There were churches with domed ceilings and carved crosses. There were communal areas, sleeping quarters, storage rooms, even winemaking presses carved into the floor. But how did they see? With oil lamps, small, portable, and safe. The walls are still blackened in places from centuries of smoke, and perhaps most impressive, they thought of everything. There were communication shafts between levels, small holes that let people talk from floor to floor. There were hidden escape routes in case a level was breached. There were even areas designated for the dead, because in a months-long siege, life and death went on. But who built all this? And why go to such incredible lengths? The answer lies in Cappadocia's location, a crossroads of empires and a target for invaders. From the Romans to the Byzantines to the Arabs, wave after wave of armies swept through. The people here learned that to survive they had to vanish. And so whenever danger came, they would gather their families, their animals, their food, and disappear underground. Sometimes for weeks, sometimes for months, and it worked. For centuries, these cities remained one of the best-kept secrets of the ancient world. Many were only rediscovered by accident in the 20th century, like in 1963, when a man knocking down a wall in his basement found a mysterious room behind it. Which led to another, and another. That was Kuyu, lost and found again. Today, these cities stand empty. But they're not forgotten. They're a testament to human ingenuity, to the will to survive against all odds. They remind us that sometimes the most advanced technology isn't metal or wire, it's an idea. A way of turning the earth itself into a shelter, a home, a secret, and perhaps that's the most haunting part, the thought that right now, beneath the quiet hills of Cappadocia, there may still be underground cities waiting to be found. Lost worlds, carved by hand, holding stories we have yet to hear. If you could explore any lost city in the world, which would it be? Let me know in the comments. Your answer could be the next Wonder Explorer video.